E-commerce is now officially on easy mode. And this is true for all of the brands that are not doing what 90% of the brands are doing, which is just hiring an ad agency and outsourcing everything. As long as you're not doing this, and I will show you exactly how you can do this, right? So how you pull this off and how I've been doing it. I am doing it in my own brands. The screenshot that you see is not a screenshot. I'm going to refresh this actually while we talk, while we speak. This is one of my brands, right? I'm an e-commerce brand owner. We did over 2 million over the last 90 days. And I'm also coaching, mentoring brand owners to run everything in-house, right? So they don't need an agency, and they're able to like pull off crazy case studies. I've had brands that went from 40K to $1 million a month, having like 40K days. Other brands that had like they start with 12K, they now do 12, 13K days per day, right? So I see this all the time, and they're owning everything. So let's jump right in. What's the old way? Okay, so the old way is this here. You get yourself some kind of agency, whatever, award-winning, or somebody in your network referred them, or you got bombarded by them in your email and got 20 cold emails from them. We all know how it is. And finally, they won you over with some kind of crazy offer where you have some kind of return on ad spend that you get after XYZ, blah, blah, blah. What you end up doing is you pay them a 3K retainer or something like that. Then you pay them like a 10% ad spend share, which is very common still, which I don't understand, which I'll explain to you why you should never, ever do this. Or you have like a rev share deal, which is even worse. I don't know. It's both very, very bad. I would never do this. Okay. So let's say you're doing that. Okay. That's what you do. That's the old way. Okay. 4 to 6 weeks later, as we know from SpongeBob, who knows this, the ads are live finally. So you basically paid for 1.5 months without even having new ads to test. That's the common situation. I mean, I talk to brand owners every single week that want to join the mentoring, that, just want to understand what we're doing. I get these horror stories all the time, right? I paid this agency, I paid the retainer, I paid the second retainer, but still there was nothing happening in the ad account. Okay, and I was chasing after the agency. You get what I mean. Finally, the ads are live. Yay. Okay, and now there's 2 ways. Okay, there's 2 things that can happen. Number 1, which is the most common case, it doesn't work. Okay, it does not work. So you don't see any results. You're paying them obviously, but it does not work. And what happens then? What goes through a mind of an e-commerce brand owner? And trust me, I've been there. I know that. And I know many, many, many other brand owners that went through the same thing. You have no idea why it did not work in the first place, right? So they came up with some kind of idea. So what they usually do is in these 4 to 6 weeks between managing like 15 to 20 other brands, obviously, is they go back here to the whiteboard and they just scribble some stuff there and say, this should work. This could work. Yeah, definitely it has to be UGC because UGC is trending. Okay, we see this is working in another account, so we'll just do the same thing. That's how they think. Okay, so you're just another account, and unfortunately didn't work. Okay, but at the same time you have no idea what they really did. Like, why didn't it work? Okay, at the same time you're bound to the contract for 2 more months, 4 more months, depending on which kind of contract you signed, but you're stuck in that contract. Okay, so you have to continue to pay them. They promised you the founder in the beginning, but then at the end, you end up working with some kind of working student or intern or whatever that has never really managed accounts properly, that has no proper experience. and that maybe joined the agency 2 months ago. Wow. Okay, that's a bummer. Then they constantly pushed you to increase the spend because there's this thing, for the algorithm that you need to spend more money if it's not working, just to, season the pixel and, whatever. I mean, there's so much stuff. You might know this better than I do, or maybe not. Actually, this I know pretty well. It's crazy what you hear, right? What they tell you. So you just need to push the budget, and why does this make sense? Yeah, of course, because they have an ad spend share, okay? So even if it doesn't work, at least they get paid even more and they squeeze you more. So what else? You have a bunch of ads live that are not really resonating with your brand. And that is really bad. I mean, I've heard of instances where agencies put ads live that are actually, they got a lot of negative comments. And this is going to be associated with your brand. Like, these people that saw these ads, they will probably never purchase from you again, right? So that's one thing. Another thing that I hear a lot of times, those are not ads that you would have liked to launch, okay? You would have never done these ads by yourself. And then obviously you lost 3 to 6 months in which you could have already scaled. And that's something that not a lot of people are talking about. But as I see how you can actually scale if you dedicate yourself to this process, and if you have the right guidance and you have a small team, then you cannot understand like how much easier you could scale and how much more money you would have done in these 3 to 6 months. That's the crazy part. And those are the real opportunity costs. It's not only money, but it's actually time. If you have a brand with a product, your job is not only to grow, but also to grow fast, right? To get, into the market and establish yourself in the market, in your target audience. Okay. So you just lost effectively months where nothing really happened and nobody really knows you better in your target audience. Okay. That's a real problem. Then obviously you paid them an ad spend share, even though nothing really performed. So let's say they made you spend like 10K per month or even 20K per month. All of a sudden you pay them 5K per month, but nothing worked. Okay. And yeah, last but not least, you paid them like 12 to 18K for 3 months and you're back at zero. And you're looking for the next award-winning agency that is so much better. So this agency hopping is literally what I hear from 80 to 90% of the founders, okay? So they're just hopping from agency to agency to agency. Now, let's look at the case where it actually works, okay? So you see results and you're thinking, yes, I picked the right agency, let's go, now we're getting rich. I told you all the time, now's the time. And then you're like, okay, wait, now the ad spend share is actually higher than the base retainer. Well, okay, I mean, they helped you to get there, so it's kind of like, it's fair. Okay, it's fair. But then you check the books and you're like, wait a second. After all the agency expenses, we're barely profitable. Like, we're scaling and that's great. And I see like this return on ad spend, blah, blah, blah. But if I do the math, if I do the books, the numbers, we're barely profitable. So this ad spend share thing, it's sucking up all the profits, right? And we see that the efficiency is going down the more we scale, which is also normal, right? This is something that you could have known beforehand. Obviously, the agency doesn't tell you that. But then you see that the profits, like the efficiency starts to go down and profits margins get slimmer and slimmer and slimmer, like the real profit margins. So this sucks up all of the profits, and how, like, you need more money to pay the inventory up front, of course, because you're scaling and you're getting out of stock. Like, before getting out of stock, you need to do bigger POs, okay? So problem. Then I cannot even kick them out now because I have no idea what they're doing. Okay, it's a complete black box, right? So in some way you have to stick to them. You're kind of like you're dependent on them. Okay. Now we're paying them over 10 grand a month now. And at that point, you're thinking, man, I could easily hire a team, my own team with that, and have some profit left over. Okay. And actually understand what's going on. So finally, they're owning your acquisition, which should never happen. They are owning your acquisition. Somebody that is external to your company is owning the process that is, or the department that is most important for your growth as a business. That's what I call a massive risk. Just looking at it from like a entrepreneurial perspective, that's a huge risk. What happens if this agency closes down? What happens if this main person that, took care of your accounts leaves, which happens all the time in agencies, right? What happens if for some other reason, I don't know, the agency gets a huge client, and all of a sudden you're not their biggest client anymore. All of their attention shifts to the huge client, and you're now number 2, number 3, number 4. What happens, right? Huge risk. Okay, so what's the alternative? What's the new way? What's the way to play e-commerce on easy mode, right? As I said in the beginning. So it's actually very simple, right? It's very easy. Okay, number one, there's you, obviously. Then there's your team, which I'll explain in a second. And there's a proven process, system, framework, whatever you want to call it. Those are the 3 things that you need, okay? So you are the founder, right? Most likely. And then you already, in many cases, you already have a team. You have a team of people that understand, even if it's not a huge team, right? This could be just one other person, right? That took care of, I don't know, like your social media, whatever. Or you have like 2, 3 other people in your team. But they understand your brand. They understand your brand. They understand your product, right? They understand the customers. Maybe they interact with them also on the socials. So you have knowledge that no agency in the world can ever have. And they cannot do this with the same dedication, with the same love, with the same passion that your people do it, right? So this is something that you can never, ever, ever outsource. And then what you need in terms of roles, let's say, in terms of roles, you need someone that takes care of the creative part, that essentially understands and looks for what are the next creatives that we're going to run. What are the creatives that most likely give us the highest chances of finding a winner and actually scaling it up profitably, right? And then you need someone that takes care of the media buying. But honestly, this is actually, when it comes to the proven process, like if you would know what the real process is, and this is the one that I share, you can actually find a video on that on this channel, that this media buying part, it's not what it used to be. You don't even need a full-time person for that. Like literally, like all the brands in my portfolio, none of them has a full-time media buyer. And I have brands that do like, they're 8-figure brands now. They started from basically nothing. They're 8-figure brands now. And they still don't have a full-time media buyer because you don't need it. You literally don't need it, okay? So this is, most of the times, that's a combo role, okay? This is either you or someone in your team, on your team, and you might be sharing like the creative strategist part here, but you have, like, this is one person, honestly. That's one person, right? In most of the cases, to get to 500K, to get to $1 million a month, this is one person, yeah? With the right training, obviously. And then you have an editor. And that's another thing. Like people think, oh man, these agencies, and that they're so amazing. They do such good creatives. You know that most of the agencies, they actually source these talents from overseas, which you could also do, which is what I teach my clients, which is how I find my editors. Okay. There are amazing editors that you can get for as little as $350 a month. Can you imagine that? I have one brand in my portfolio. they're literally like, I was shocked, but they hired an editor from the Philippines, amazing editor, and she cost them 350, or he cost them $350 a month, and he's working for them 20 hours a week. Can you imagine that? A person working dedicated for you 20 hours a week. You don't get this in any agency. And you just cut out the middleman, right? So normally it's you, then it's the agency, and then it's the editor, and you just cut out the middleman. You just go straight to the editor. You source the talent. That's what I teach people. I teach people the exact process I use to hire high quality talent, because that's what you need, in my opinion. Okay, so then this is solved. And then what else do you need? Not much. The last thing is this here. That's a proven process. You need a process. You don't need to just like go out and try stuff and come up with ideas by yourself. No, don't do it. It's a waste of time. That's what the agencies do, most of them, and you're even paying them for that, right? But I don't even want you to do that. I want you to just take the process that is proven across multiple niches, across multiple brands, and apply this process to you. Because, it's not that, that's interesting, because every brand is unique and different. That's true. But there are certain principles to success when it comes to scaling an e-commerce brand. And I tell you that because I've been there, done that. You saw the brand in the beginning. That's one of my brands, right? I have two more. And overlook like 20 brands, 25 brands. And I see what's working and what's not working. And that's how I basically distilled all of these principles that actually lead to success, right? So this is what you need, right? You need something that is already like a manual where you only need to follow it step by step by step by step, okay? And obviously apply it to your case, right? But there are certain principles that will lead you to success there. So yeah, I mean, you can get this for free if you want on YouTube, just on this channel, like watch all the videos. I upload 2 videos a week if you want to go that route. But if you, let's say, want to have a more safe route to getting to that, and actually more quicker route, that's the key. If you don't want to waste time, you get someone that actually knows this stuff, has helped other brands just like yours, and helps you implement all of this stuff and helps you along the way, guides you, right? This is how I implement stuff. This is how I learn stuff. I go to people that have done it, that are like 10 times higher when it comes to the level where I am. And I just let them tell me the process and then guide me along the way, right? So this is what I do, for example. You can choose whoever you want, but I would recommend you choose me because I know, I do nothing else, right? As you can see on this YouTube channel. And that's it. Right? So this maybe costs you like between 2 to 5K per month, but there's no ad spend component. And you're actually learning this stuff. You and your team are learning to implement this stuff. And now, again, we have 2 outcomes, okay? What if it does not work, right? What if you don't see the results right out of the gate? Okay, you might be thinking, if I'm honest, I did not fully implement everything properly. That's the only real reason that you could have to end up here, okay? It's just not implementing the stuff as it was intended to be implemented, okay? Or you did not, get feedback enough. You did not really have someone where you can send stuff, they review it, and then they send it back so that you're learning, but you're also, starting with a version that is actually seasoned. Or exactly, what's next? But at least you understand what you need to do in which order, okay? So at least you have the blueprint. And also, you understand the metrics. You understand the KPIs that are important to look at, right? So you're not lost. You can never be scammed by an agency or some kind of freelancer that wants to win you over, okay? And that pretty quickly turns into, I will get back to implementing, and I still believe I can pull this off as it's not that complicated. And that's true, right? It's not that complicated. It's just that these agencies, they tell you that it's so complicated and it's so complex and you need to have years of experience. But the reality, when I look at these results that I just like told you, some of these results, it's just not true. It's just not true. What if it works? If it works, you're like, oh my God, we're actually scaling without an agency. I cannot believe it. Me and my team actually understand what's going on in our acquisition, in our ad account. We know what we need to do and where we need to tweak. I know exactly which metrics and KPIs that I should look at. And we finally do ads that actually represent our unique products and our unique brand, right? It's not just a copycat, but it's your ads. And there is no ad spend, no revenue share, no profit share, no nothing share that I have to pay. You keep all the profits and you can reinvest them fully into growing the team, growing the inventory, launching new products, whatever it is that your business needs, you actually owned it, right? You own the acquisition. And potential investors, they cannot believe that you put this, that you built this up by yourself. And the valuation of your e-commerce, if your goal is to sell the e-commerce one day, the valuation is just way higher because you don't have this external risk that I told you about, which is this one here. That's what, that's a huge risk. And this devalues your company, finally. And the most important thing is you own the growth department of your brand 100%, and you will never go back to outsourcing it again. Okay. So yeah, that's it. I hope that was helpful. If you look at a 6-month window, what could happen 6 months later? In this case, you're definitely going to lose 12 to 18K. In this case, yes, you're scaling, but you're actually paying somebody like 10 to 15 grand a month in retainer. In this case, your team got definitely smarter and you have more clarity on the next steps. You just need to work on the implementation and have, more close feedback loops with somebody that knows how to do that. And in this case, you're scaling and you're netting in 7 to 12K more in profit every single month forever. Okay. So yeah, if you want help with this, if you want to join the new way, if you want to make your scaling or scale your e-commerce on easy mode, click the first link in the description, check out who I can help and how I help, and then book a call with me. It's not like how I do this is literally that I do this one-on-one, right? So you're going to work or you'd be working with me. There's no like team of people or working students or whatever. But it's literally me telling you exactly what to do from my experience, from my own brands and all the other brands that I overlook. Okay. If that's interesting, click the link below. If not, man, thank you for watching. Really appreciate that. And I hope that, this provided value. Let me know in the comments, subscribe, whatever you want to do. And see you on the next one. Take care.